This is episode 7 of This Is Us 2 with Mary and Blake.
Can I be honest with you, man to man? You know, your mom and me, we always try to treat you kids the same. Always have. Hasn't always worked because, well, you're not all the same. You're adopted, and we don't talk about that enough. Because to me, you are every part my son. Maybe I don't want you to feel like you stand out. But I need you to know something. I want you to stand out. I want all of you to be as different as you can possibly be, in all the best ways. I love you as much as a human heart can, kiddo. You are an exceptional young man. So don't let your dad's poor choices make you feel afraid to be different. Okay?
From Cranston, Rhode Island, welcome to This Is Us 2. It's a podcast dedicated to the show This Is Us on NBC. So sit back, relax, and let's all have a good cry. Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name's Mary Larson.
My name's Blake, and I am the least musically inclined person on this planet.
You know, I am not going to disagree with you on that one. I love you dearly. You have a great interest in music.
Mm-hmm.
But
I love listening, love watching, love going to the symphony, love doing all of that.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what, if I had done what Randall did,
yes,
playing the piano, it would be worse than what he did.
Right?
It would be an unmitigated disaster for my entire life that I would never hear the end of forever.
Oh my gosh, that was something. So, goodness, seeing him up on stage, I had to revisit the moment where he got to see his dad playing for his daughters and singing, and Randall's having all these moments of like, oh man, why am I not a musician? Why am I not a saxophone player? And just to see this biological grandfather, William, be able to sing and play for these girls,
Mm-hmm.
It kind of tugged at my heartstrings because thankfully William is there in their lives, but Jack isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm kind of shifting gears because this episode was a lot about careers and a lot about being different and finding yourself. But what really struck me for some reason in this episode, and maybe it was because of that quote that we played in the beginning and how wonderful of a parent Jack was to really embrace that moment that, yes, we are going to see the elephant in the room. You are adopted and you are different and you're brilliant and we're going to embrace this and to embrace all these wonderful differences. And I'm so sad that he's not a grandparent for these daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And I myself grew up grandparentless. And, it's something that has been sad for me. It's been hard for me to relate to people who have really close relationships with their grandparents. And when those grandparents pass, because we're at the age now where a lot of people's grandparents have already passed away. Sure. And the ones that are still clinging on, it's even harder for those friends because they've had them, honestly, their entire life now through the beginning of their adult life. Mm-hmm. And I haven't been able to really understand that until I've had kids. And I have been able to see the relationship that my children now have with their 3 living grandparents and how special that is and how wonderful it is to have these people in their lives and for me to see things that are lessons that my parents taught me that they're now able to teach to my kids. And I'm sad for Randall's kids that they're not able to learn these different things that Jack was able to share with him. And so being able to see this in a different way that, yes, he didn't get to learn the piano from his biological father, but he learned to embrace the fact that being different is okay. People may not understand what it is that you do for a job. people don't understand what it is that I do for a job. I'm like, I podcast and I help women feel creative and empowered with makeup and owning their own business. And the people are like, what do you do?
What?
I'm like, I work on my phone and it's amazing. And I'm home with my kids and no one gets it. And that's okay. And I'm sad that Jack isn't there, but I know that it lives on through Randall. And that's one of the things that really was poignant to me in this episode. So let's get into the show.
So the episode title for this one, episode 106, is Career Days. That's pretty self-explanatory. Everyone was talking about their career in this particular episode. The director was actually someone who we are actually quite familiar with.
Bring it up. Tell me.
The guy's name is Craig Zisk. And he's directed multiple episodes of television, including the new show The Looming Tower, Veep,
Okay.
Santa Clarita Diet on
I can't watch that one. Drew Barrymore eats people or something? I don't know.
Preacher, Agent Carter, yeah. Fear the Walking Dead.
Okay.
Halt and Catch Fire.
Hey!
A total personal favorite of mine. One that I will recommend to everybody. And also another one too, Parks and Rec.
Oh, yes.
Another personal favorite of Mary.
Craig. Nice work.
So, and the writer was Becca Bernstetter. She has actually written for American Gods and all Switched at Birth, which is on Freeform.
All right. So, Lemonade rating for this episode, we're going to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst episode ever, 5 being one of the best episodes ever. I'm going to give this episode a 4.5.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed like certain bits of it really strongly. Really strongly. There were some parts that I felt okay about, but some parts really kind of pulled at me in different ways. So I'm excited to see different aspects of this episode play out, and that's why I'm giving it a high rating of 4.5. How about you, Blake? What did you give this episode?
I'm giving this one a 4.
Okay, that's a solid like B.
I was not in love with this episode.
Okay,
and I felt like it had a fair amount of issues that kind of bothered me. But there is this one thing that I think that keeps this show together so far that I love. It's basically human spackle, okay? Human joint compound that covers up the holes on the wall. And that's Randall.
Okay.
Randall and Sterling K. Brown, who plays Randall, makes this show. Totally. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And I love seeing him because he's a fully developed character in my opinion. But that's we'll get into all the different reasons why I gave this one a 4. But I just this is the weakest one of the series
that you've seen so far. And it's only episode 6, so I think you're okay. I think you're okay.
Correct. Well, what do you got for your GBG, my darling? The good, bad, and great.
My good, bad, and great. All right. My good is any and all of the singing in this episode. I really enjoyed that. We opened up with Rebecca singing, and then we even got to see Randall sing. So I just enjoyed the singing in this episode. So that was a lot of fun for me. The bad was I had a hard time with the fact that Randall didn't know how to play the piano when he had so much access to it, and Rebecca could play it. I know that this is like a little petty thing, but when he was so sad that his birth father William could play the piano and he couldn't, I kind of felt a little sad for him.
Right.
And then my great was the moment when Randall does come and he says, my dad put on a tie every day because he had to, but I put one on every day because I want to. And I love that. I love that once again, it was just embracing his career and being true to himself. So I really loved that bit.
Right.
How about you?
Let's see. My good was, good on Kate for giving that little wench of a girl the business. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Screw that little girl. I want
She's
nothing
like,
to
she's
do
like
with
driving,
her.
and she's like, no.
No.
You can walk, honey.
We're all set.
You can walk.
Right? I know. So the bad. Okay, this is one of the things that kind of bothered me. Kevin.
Yes.
And his co-star Olivia.
Yes.
I was kind of surprised that they both hook up
Really?
But I mean that in a way that's like you saw it coming from a million miles away.
Exactly. And they're both thespians and living in New York.
And I just
what
feel
people
like what are we doing here? You know, like it's just. And of course, she has to teach him a lesson.
Okay.
And she says, "Oh, use this," you know, like from Cars 3. Remember she said, "Use that," when she's like, "You're never going to be able to sleep with me again."
You just mixed in a little Cars 3
I know,
Pixar into this.
I did. I've been watching way too many Cars 3 with my son, our son Reese. So I feel like you just saw that coming a million miles away.
Yep.
And another issue that I have with this episode is Kate. And I'll get into this in a little bit, but Kate, I have a problem with it because Kate, so far, this entire run, and it's kind of coming to a head in this episode, her life, her character, the problems that she's facing is just based on the fact that she's fat. And nothing else. And let me say one thing before I get in trouble here, which is this. The previous episode, the game plan, right, was an awesome Kate episode. Why? Because it had nothing to do with just her, with her being fat. It was
about her and
her and her dad and watching football.
Yes.
And so far she is kind of a one-dimensional character. And that's what I mean by saying all of her story is just that she's fat. Like Kevin, all of his story is that he's good looking and he's an actor. And that's it so far. Whereas Randall is fully fleshed out. Correct. Randall has real things. And that's where this episode lost me. But the great
Bring it.
The great was because it was so bad. It was so bad was that it was Randall singing.
It was so bad.
Randall singing, I wanted to, I was sitting down and I was like appreciating this, but I just wanted to crawl. My soul wanted to crawl out of my skin and
seeing him on stage
into the ether,
making up that song.
And then he asks everybody to sing along.
The sing along part.
Oh.
Did anyone else, you'll have to let us know, did any of you feel like you were living a nightmare of your own? Did you feel that way?
Oh God, yes, where it almost reminded me of, you know, those dreams that you have.
Yes, I was going to tell you about one of mine.
Well, all right, fine. It's those dreams like where you're trying to scream out in horror and terror.
Oh, no, that's not mine.
That's how it felt for me.
You want to know what mine was?
What was yours?
That I'm suddenly in a beauty pageant that I was not prepared for. I don't know the dance numbers for. I'm supposed to be singing and I'm in a bathing suit and I don't know how the hell I ended up on this stage because I did beauty pageants in college to pay for college. Great way to pay for college when you're a confident young woman, except when you're in your adult life, post 2 children, not really eating the way you're supposed to, haven't actually been doing anything pageant like for quite some time. That's a scary thing to be on stage if you're completely unprepared. So that's been my nightmare, that I'm literally you're like, do you believe this?
I do.
I watched Randall and I was like, oh my God, this is what it would be like if I went on stage unprepared in a bikini.
Yeah, that happens.
About that. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit more about breaking down this episode and about what you feel like are some of the big themes that came out of this episode.
You know, it's hard to break this one down into a specific theme, and I say that because there's a lot. I mean, your career. I mean, that and that's kind of like, that's low hanging fruit almost.
See, I saw it as being different. Like I saw that as the major theme of this episode.
Okay,
that's some ways that you're different. So, for example, Kate is different in her own mind. You see it. It's all Kate's self-reflection when they're talking about getting ice cream during their report cards, and Jack picks up Rebecca, and Rebecca says, "I can't have ice cream. You won't be able to pick me up." And Jack says, "Oh, you're so tiny." You see the reaction on Kate. Right. I loved that moment because it's not always like smack in your face. It's always Kate's inner monologue, and then it's always on her brain, and she knows that makes her different, and she's upset that she gets hired because that made her different. That's what stood out to her. And then with Kevin, I feel like he doesn't think he's any different.
Mm-hmm.
And that really what he would do to fight for his dad's attention to make him feel different was build these planes. And that is searching for that uniqueness in life, that little difference in life. And that's one of the life lessons. That's one of the lessons that his co-star, was it Olivia? Is that her name? Was trying
Olivia.
to teach him. Because I just feel like he wasn't able to connect with this person when in reality he has lost his dad. And that does make you different than a lot of people who are in their mid-30s. Not everybody has lost their parents at that age. That is something unique that you can grasp and to understand what that incredible loss of love is like.
Mm-hmm.
And then Randall, of course, is different, and we get to understand that in this episode because he is so smart and he has this job that not a lot of people understand. Nobody actually understands it, not even his wife. But he embraces that.
Sure.
He really embraces that. So to see how these three different characters, and with Jack, he wants something different for his life. He wants these big three homes, which I desperately hope can come true.
Sure.
I don't want to see Jack in this cubicle for the rest of his life. I want to see him be able to have this job creation and come true. But for now, he has to put his desire to be different aside for the greater of his family. And Rebecca tells him to chase his dreams.
Mm-hmm.
She says it's okay to be different. But he decides that being different and doing his own path isn't as important as allowing his children to do that. So I saw it as that as the main theme of the episode.
No, I get you. And I hate to harp on the Kate issue. It's just, it has me small c concerned. Not capital C.
I don't understand. Oh,
Not capital
okay.
C concerned, small c concerned.
Okay.
Just because I want to see those themes that you just talked about, and I want to see Kate and Kevin develop into the same kind of awesome freaking character that Randall is. Do you know what I mean?
But I think that that's what this episode for Kate was about, that Kate isn't just her size. It isn't just her weight. She is so much more. She has this experience grant writing. She has this experience of being incredibly organized. Everything that she says and she lays out, and she stands up for herself, and she tosses that little teenager out.
Right.
So I actually think that she is saying, no, I'm not just this woman who is of a certain size.
So maybe they're on the right track. Maybe they just established it, and now hopefully we're gonna keep moving forward. You know, and that's what I'm hoping for. One of the things that actually I really loved about this episode too was that moment that we have between Jack and Randall when they were kids, when he was a kid, and he goes off to the school. And he touches his tie, like that moment.
The tie adjustment.
That moment is
God.
earned. That moment emotionally is earned. I mean, perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, and whereas the previous scene with Jack kind of getting on Randall, it's kind of like it felt almost a tad forced. Like, okay, we have to accomplish something here. But this scene, the one with the tie, was freaking awesome.
You know, to bounce off of that, something that concerns me is Rebecca's relationship with her adult children. So we see these really wonderful moments. I mean, Jack obviously has his faults. We've been able to see that he has had difficulty with his drinking, you know, and now he's on a high pedestal right now in the show. Rebecca, in the past, fantastic. Mandy Moore sitting at the piano making up a freaking lullaby for her 3 babies who are asleep. A, that's magic. B, love Mandy Moore singing. C, you hear that Kate has this real huge divide with her mom, and you see the shirt with the small size and the extra large, and I'm wondering, like, what is it? Is it weight that drove them apart? Is it Kate's own inner monologue, just like in that episode where she's at the party with the LA people, where she thinks, at least I took it, she interpreted that everyone was laughing at her.
Sure.
Was it something that Kate did or exasperated, you know, or is it really that there was something huge? Because we don't see Rebecca calling Kevin or Kate. You know, obviously they're on the other side of the country. Now Kevin's in, you know, the New York area.
Right.
But we haven't seen adult Rebecca for a few episodes. And that concerns me, whereas we're seeing all these tender moments with Jack and his children.
How about, speaking of Kevin being in New York, the fact that he's in this predicament with Olivia, and she's put him in this predicament. You know,
At the funeral?
At the funeral.
Okay.
Well, at the memorial. That too was a fairly a pretty well-earned moment, and not with he and Olivia, but with he and a lady whose husband passed away.
Oh, Frank's
Oh
wife.
my God. And when
The
she's
pickles. I would have eaten the pickles too. I love pickles.
and when she says, who are you again? He just gives this little laugh. But there was this moment when he's talking to her, and
In the
she's
kitchen.
in the kitchen, and she says, talking about being 15. And Kevin says, yeah, 15 is a tough age.
Sure is.
And then immediately starts talking about his father and doing all of the models,
yes.
and him begging for his dad's attention. He had to do it specifically to get his dad's attention. He had to be as strategic about it. It makes me wonder, did Jack pass away when Kevin was 15?
Oh, I don't know. You know, it was weird in this episode because she asks Kevin, "Oh, when did your dad die?" And it's like an obvious overdub of a long time
yes,
ago. It
yes,
was like
yes.
very obviously overdubbed. So I don't know if initially they had him say his age or how many years ago, or if they just didn't like how he said it. But it's a really weird audio cut. You and I both noticed that, and
Yeah.
video cut.
The audio is 100% different
Yes.
than
It's like he did it in our studio here in Cranston, Rhode Island.
right. It didn't sound right.
No, it didn't at all. It was a little awkward.
I know.
Awkward. You okay?
Oh yeah, no, sorry. Apparently on our live, we are doing this live, by the way.
Yay.
Apparently our live stream did not have audio. See, we're on Facebook Live, and we are on the Mary and Blake page, and
There you go.
we are in our This Is Us group. Thank you very much
There
for
you
watching, and thank you for the 5 of you who have been watching us with no audio, apparently.
Oh, jeez. I'm so sorry.
Apparently we had a technical mishap, but
Hey, it's all good.
what can you do?
All good.
We now have
We're here.
audio.
We're here.
We're
Hi,
here.
guys. Well, you have to catch the first half of the episode
on the
your
podcast.
It'll be
Sorry
up
about
soon.
that. Wow. Okay, that's when you have technology problem. Hashtag.
You know what this just was?
Technology
This was like
problems.
Randall's moment playing piano.
You know what?
There you go.
I called it at the beginning of this podcast episode. Anytime I do something live in performance, it is just an unmitigated disaster.
Hey, it's all good. Can I talk about Beth and Randall just for a hot second? Because I think
Yes,
I
please.
crushed on that couple hardcore in the past few episodes. But when she is talking to him about his midlife crisis and how he wants to learn to some music just because she doesn't understand really what it is that he does, I loved that playful banter. She was able to be straight with him. Like, honey, you need to calm down. You have an amazing job. No one is questioning you.
Right.
Don't worry about this. Don't worry that this biological father has just appeared in your life and you don't know how to play the piano.
Right.
But then he says, "Oh, I want to play the saxophone." And I loved how she just got so sensual and playful with it. And their relationship, once again, hashtag relationship goals.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love it.
I love them.
Right?
And that's why I'm calling from now on. From now on, I'm calling Randall the human Spackle, because what they have created with Randall and Beth is so special.
Mm-hmm.
It is so relatable. Not only is he dealing with how being black in his community and feeling different, but being black and different in his own family.
And adopted.
Raising his children,
Mm-hmm.
having his biological father come into he is a fully fleshed out, realized
Right?
character. And not only that, but having his wife be a part of this picture as well, it's just great.
And that's why. So we've been able, as you said, we are able to see that Randall is like this onion with layers. He is multifaceted, and that's one of the reasons that we're gravitating towards him so quickly. We see his faults, we see his struggles, we see all this, and that's why I'm happy they threw in this bit with Kate, where she actually says, me and my mom have had a lot of difficulties.
Right.
So don't push your mom away. Because as I've said, we haven't seen Rebecca calling adult Kevin or Kate. And so we know something's going on. But for her to say this is starting to add in those additional layers. It's not just about her weight.
Sure.
There is more. There is some deep hurt that seems to have happened.
Which makes you wonder why. Let let me say this. Let me put it this way. It gives more evidence as to why she may have those ashes from Jack from the previous episode.
Okay.
Instead of Rebecca. Because I've been thinking about it, and maybe it isn't having something to do with Rebecca and Jack of why she does not have those ashes. Perhaps it's because there's something going on between Kate and Rebecca.
Oh man.
That's just, throw that out there.
Look at you.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I like it.
And this show is funny, and this is one of those episodes that makes me laugh. Because when I watch television, my brain goes into critical thinking mode.
It does.
And as you've heard in this,
henceforth why we podcast about it.
Right. When my brain goes into critical thinking mode and I start breaking things down, I start saying, okay, what's this character? Why is he doing here? What's the motivation? I am notorious for it on Outlander, our other podcast, Outlander Cast. I'm notorious for it on The Leftovers, which is probably a good thing for me being like that. But this show is a tad different for me. And I still think critically about the things that I have to think critically about because we're doing the podcast.
Yeah.
But I'm the characters, for the most part, they feel so natural. It's almost like you're just peeking your head on reality TV. And
it is. It's crazy. It's like your little fly on a wall, except it's not Jersey Shore.
Right. And which is a really good thing, by the way.
Thank God, right?
Although, Olivia, DTF. DTF.
I almost forgot what that meant.
Oh, no. How could you ever forget what DTF?
Nope.
See, little do you, listener, know that Jersey Shore is a
monumental moment in our courtship story.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And,
as was Meerkat Manor. True story.
And Bridezilla and Tool Academy.
There you go.
We've watched some really bad television in our time.
So that's why we're really excited to podcast about really good television.
And I would love to say that it's a guilty pleasure, Jersey Shore. I would love to say that. But the problem is that when you consider yourself watching, if it's a guilty pleasure, you shouldn't feel guilty for watching something that you love, right? So I'm afraid to say that I just take pleasure out of watching Jersey Shore.
We haven't watched it recently.
No, but I fully intend.
Back in the day, back in our youth.
In the heyday.
In the heyday.
Oh. Well,
I understood what all these letters meant.
What I'm getting at is this show, I can turn that part of my brain off a little bit. And I could turn that part of my brain off a little bit because the characters are likable. And not only that, but the actors are very likable.
They're real. It's not even just about being likable.
Yeah.
They're real. I mean, even Kevin, who we saw as this pretty boy who pretty much had it all, being the Manny, being wicked famous. There's real people that we know who are wicked famous and seem to be perfect. And really, that they're just normal people.
Sure.
That they have their own families. They have their own struggles. They have their own hardships. When Kevin took out that necklace and said, I still wear this. This was my dad's. This is what I have of him.
Yep.
This is a big moment. And to hear him talk about building these model planes and not for fighting for the attention, but for wanting that attention and having something special. Yep. I think you're right. This is different. It's not a mystery show that we're trying to solve. We're watching these people because there's little bits of us in each of these characters, or there's little bits of our friends or of our neighbors or of our classmates that we can see and we can relate to. Mm-hmm. And it almost takes your perspective and tweaks it.
Sure.
Tweaks it. Like, as I said in the beginning, I didn't have grandparents growing up.
Yep.
And now I can kind of understand because I'm able to see what the influence is like. Our son just turned 5 and we got to have this wonderful experience with all of his living grandparents. And now I understand why my friends who are 36, like me, just like these main characters, why it's such a big deal to them.
Sure.
When their grandparents pass and you get to see this multi-generation interwoven aspect with Randall and William and what little we got to see with Rebecca and what they're missing without having Jack.
I'm still kind of reeling from that little flash forward we had the other episode ago. Was the last episode with Randall sitting in the bed
holding William's hat,
Holding
and like
William's hat
packing everything up in a box.
And like, when is that going to come? Because, you know, part of me feels like you don't introduce that unless you intend on
He has to
delivering.
die.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, do they deliver on that by the end of the season? And part of me feels like they kind of have to.
I think his time is running short.
If they were going to be bold, if they were going to make a bold choice, they would say, "No, I'm not doing that. We're going to wait. We're going to make you. We're going to put this in at the beginning part of this show, and we're going to make you wait till like season 3 for that to pay off." That's a bold choice.
William would have extremely good vitamins for that to be possible. Those are not
All the
Flintstone vitamins.
No. Those are like super like Martian vitamins.
Oh my goodness. Well, on that note, I think it's time to close up the show.
We got to close out the show already?
Yeah.
Oh, but before we close out the show,
Tell me.
Your boy Miguel.
about?
Miguel gets a raise. He gets a promotion.
Good for him. He's not my boy. I don't know why you call him my boy.
He's your boy.
But anyway, good for him. Good for him.
See, you're happy for him because he's your boy. All right, you ready to close out the show?
Yes.
All right. Hopefully, no technical difficulties with this.
Yes.
All right.
Well, we want to let you all know that this episode of This Is Us Too is sponsored by MinuteWithMary.com. I would love for you guys to search the hashtag Minute with Mary. It's me. I help women feel more confident and have more fun with makeup and skincare, and it honestly is such a joy for me. As I said earlier in this podcast, I work from home. I am a professional podcaster. I'm home with my cat and my kids, and I like to help women feel more confident with makeup. So thank you so much for checking that out, and the hashtag Minute with Mary. But I've had a blast. So if you've liked this episode and had a blast too, find us in iTunes, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcast apps. And
or check us out at Facebook at Mary and Blake.
Yes.
Or go to maryandblake.com to see all of our podcasts, everything that we do.
For now, I'm Mary.
My name's Blake.
And this is Us Too.